I've been wondering recently why Skyrim, out of so many games, seems to have connected with not just me, but also so many of you. I honestly don't think it's just because we're nostalgic for a time long past, but something more. Skyrim was there for me when I needed to escape. When the outside world was too loud and overstimulating, it cemented itself in my little developing brain noggin alongside Halo and Minecraft as games I can always go back to, which I still do sometimes when life gets too stressful. But I've been asking myself why. Why is it our comfort game? What makes it so special that we treat it like some sort of trauma response? Now, there's a lot of things I could think of when I ask myself that, and I feel like many people can agree that one of the biggest reasons is that beautiful soundtrack and how it's perfectly blended with the ambience of the game. Like, when you're on one of Skyrim's many snowy peaks and you hear that howling wind as Secunda plays. I can't tell you how many times I've been doing just that, and I had to pause just to take in the scenery. Sometimes I'd even get chills. And I know I'm not the only one that sometimes puts on those Skyrim music and ambience videos like that loop for 10 hours. I mean, really, they lull me to sleep like a baby. Now, it's not just the music. I think another huge reason Skyrim became our comfort game is because the world itself just feels safe. Now, before somebody says, safe? There are dragons, giant spiders, and trolls every 10 feet? Listen, you know what I mean. You can start up Skyrim and look down nearly every road and know exactly where they lead. You can reload a save in a random city and know the exact NPCs you'll bump into. And I know I'm not the only one that knows a lot of the secret chest glitches where you can get free septums, like that one near Solitude that's in the ground where the Khajiit caravan stays. I still remember the guide saying to look for a blue leaf. There was no blue leaf, like at all. I don't know what they were talking about. I mean, I still got it, but that always pissed me off. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is that Skyrim is so familiar, it still feels like home, or more like a home away from home when your real home is too loud and anxiety-inducing and you need to release a bunch of stress. It's this digital safe room and you can always run away to and seek shelter in it. And then there's the freedom part of it. In Skyrim, you're free to do what you want. You want to pick flowers all day and sell them to an alchemist? You can do that. You want to clear out bandit camps and mines and loot their treasure? You can do that. You want to ignore the world-eating dragon? You can do that. There is no end to the freedom you have while you're in this world. One of my characters was a Breton scholar obsessed with Dwemer artifacts. I hoarded anything Dwemer-esque and focused on Dwemer ruins, which, as you know, is horrible. My other character was a Nord who just wanted to free his homeland of occupation because Skyrim is for the Nords. He might have had an Argonian wife, but we all have different tastes, okay? What I'm saying is, you can basically do whatever you want in Skyrim and be successful. Skyrim rewards you for playing however you want. You can't say that about many games nowadays. And that's the thing, Skyrim was developed when the gaming industry was still focused on players and their needs and not the stockholder needs. At this time, games were still being made for the players, and it shows with the amount of control and freedom you have every playthrough. A little side note I wanted to mention as well is that I do think the tide is turning in the gaming industry and that we are just starting to get games that focus on player freedom and enjoyment again. But because game development takes time, it'll be a little bit longer before we see them. Now, I also think that Skyrim came into our lives at just the right time. For many of us, Skyrim wasn't just a game. It was middle school, high school, or even college. It was coming home after a terrible day, throwing your backpack and books on the floor, loading up your save, and disappearing into another world for a few hours. For some people, Skyrim was there during breakups. For others, it was there during loneliness, anxiety, family struggles, or just those weird, confusing years where you're trying to figure out who you are. And because of that, Skyrim stopped being just entertainment. It became tied to memories. Not all of them good, not all of them bad, but memories nonetheless. It wove itself into our everyday lives. Loading up Skyrim wasn't something we did, it was just part of the routine. And because it's so ingrained in us and part of us, the moment anything reminds us of this game's existence, we get activated like a bunch of sleeper agents. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You might randomly see a screenshot online, maybe you hear that beautiful soundtrack again, maybe you get a modless video on your YouTube homepage. Hey, maybe even Todd Howard himself appears in your dreams telling you to purchase the newest version of Skyrim or to invest in creations. And then suddenly there you are, downloading 700 mods at 2 AM even though you have work in the morning. I do admit that I'm guilty of doing this many times and I will never regret it. It's basically a seasonal illness at this point. But I don't think we reinstall Skyrim because we necessarily want something new. I think we reinstall it because we're trying to revisit a feeling. A simpler time, a familiar place. Almost like revisiting your grandparents' house. Everything is a little older, maybe a little different, but still familiar. And honestly, mods play a huge role in this too. Skyrim grows with us. The game we played in 2011 isn't the same game we're playing today. Some people turn it into a hardcore survival simulator, others turn it into a next-gen RPG. Some of you degenerates have turned it into a game that would get this channel taken down if I even mentioned some of the mods that are out there. No judgment, mostly. The point is, Skyrim evolves alongside us. As we change, Skyrim changes too. Very few games allow us to shape them to our liking. I know when I was younger, I had a much more different taste in things, from my favorite color to favorite foods, but the fact that as I grow older and my tastes change, Skyrim changes right alongside me, and that's something really special. Very few games are capable of doing that. It is lightning in the bottle that I think Bethesda will have a very hard time ever capturing again. But more than anything else, I also think Skyrim comforts us because it gives us something many of us struggle to find in real life: peace. For a little while, the bills don't matter, work doesn't matter, the stress and anxiety and constant thoughts of everyday life just fade away. All that matters is the road ahead, the sound of the wind through the trees, and whether or not that giant is about to launch you into orbit. And honestly, sometimes that's exactly what we need. The distraction, not a giant launching you into orbit. See, I feel like in this day and age, everyone is stressed and looking for some type of release. We just choose to play video games that remind us of better days and that don't shackle our creativity. The second I boot up Skyrim, a small part of me feels like a kid again. And maybe that's why we keep coming back, because for a little while, we get to revisit a time when life felt simpler and we felt at peace. And maybe all of that is what made Skyrim our comfort game. It wasn't just the music, the freedom, or even the nostalgia. It is the fact that Skyrim is always there. It will always be there, calming us in the worst times, giving us a sense of peace no matter where you're at in your life. No matter how much you change, there will always be a familiar world we can go to whenever life becomes too crazy. And even now, nearly 15 years later, we still return. Not because Skyrim is perfect, Lord knows this game has bugs older than some of the people watching this video, but because it feels like home, because it can give us some peace when nothing else can. And maybe in a world that changes as quickly as ours does, having a place that you can always depend on and escape to is pretty special. So I'm curious, what made Skyrim your comfort game? Let me know down below, and as always, thank you all for watching, and stay safe, my friends.